Mindset shapes reality. The way you think about your circumstances directly affects the way you experience them. Positive attitudes reframe struggles into stepping stones. You know, I've come to realize something that I believe every successful person understands deep down. Your mindset shapes your reality. See, people walk around thinking their circumstances are the final say in their lives. They think where they were born, who raised them, how much money they have or don't have. That's what determines how far they go. But that's not the truth. The truth is, it's not what you go through. It's how you think about what you go through. When your mind is in the wrong place, you'll find a reason to complain in every blessing. But when your mind is elevated, when you've trained yourself to see beyond your situation, you start to discover that every setback holds a setup. That's attitude, and attitude is a choice. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm saying it's powerful. You can take two people in the exact same situation, same education, same resources, and the one with the better attitude will always go farther. Why? Because your attitude opens up dimensions in you that talent and privilege alone can't touch. That mindset is like a lens. It either distorts or clarifies your vision. And when it's aligned right, you start making moves not just based on what is, but on what can be. That's how faith grows. That's how resilience is built. You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intentionally. You start saying, okay, I'm here now. This is where I am, but where I am is not where I'm staying. So if there's one shift you can make today, just one, it's this. Shift your mind before you shift your circumstances. Because the real altitude isn't outside of you, it's inside. And when you get that part right, everything else begins to rise with it. Your response is your power. You may not control what happens to you, but you always control how you respond. Your attitude is your emotional thermostat. Let me tell you something that changed my life, and I mean changed it completely. You can't always control what life throws at you. You can't predict when heartbreak hits, when the job falls through, when the people you trusted walk away. But here's the power you do have. You get to choose how you respond, and that choice right there, that's everything. See, most folks live in reaction mode. Somebody disrespects them. They snap back. Life gets hard. They fold. But when you understand that your response is your power, you stop giving other people control over your peace. You stop letting the world dictate your mood, your energy, your vision. That's not power. That's slavery to circumstance. And you're better than that. Psychologists call it locus of control. People with an internal locus believe that their decisions shape their lives. They take ownership. That doesn't mean they ignore pain. It means they process it with purpose. They take setbacks and turn them into setups for growth. That's a mature mind. That's an elevated attitude. Let me get real with you. When my life started to change, it wasn't because I suddenly got a big break. It was because I stopped reacting to everything that went wrong, and I started responding like the man I wanted to become. Like I already had the success, the peace, the clarity. That shift right there, that's when you start to move different. Because when you master your response, you master your future. And if you don't remember anything else I said today, remember this. Your reaction is your history. Your response is your destiny. Choose wisely. Gratitude elevates you being thankful, even in tough times, keeps your perspective grounded, and fuels inner strength. Let me ask you something real simple, but real deep. When was the last time you gave thanks for something you couldn't stand going through? I'm serious. When was the last time you looked at a situation that hurt you, frustrated you, disappointed you, and still said, "Thank you"? See, most people think gratitude is about being happy when things go right. That's basic. Anybody can do that. But the next level of life, the mindset that separates people who rise from people who just survive, is the ability to practice gratitude even when life doesn't feel good. Because gratitude ain't just about being thankful, it's about how you see. It's a lens that reshapes pain, that reframes struggle, and gives suffering purpose. I learned that the hard way. There were times when I had nothing but confusion, rejection, closed doors. And you know what? I started saying thank you anyway because I realized something. Gratitude unlocks perspective. When you're grateful, you stop obsessing over what you don't have and start activating what you do have. You begin to notice resources, people, and lessons that were invisible when your attitude was full of resentment. Philosophers say the soul grows when it's stretched, and psychologists will tell you gratitude literally rewires the brain. It's not just emotional fluff. It's science. It changes how you process adversity, and that shift over time builds inner strength the world can't take from you. So if you want to change your altitude, start by changing your attitude in the lowest places. Learn to say thank you, not just for the mountaintops, but for the valleys too. Because the ones who learn to give thanks in the dark are always the first to rise in the light. Attitude attracts opportunity. People and opportunities are drawn to those who radiate optimism, responsibility, and resilience. Let me tell you something that's not just motivational, it's practical. Your attitude is a magnet. What you give off is what you draw in. And I don't mean that in some mystical way. I mean it in a real, psychological, results-driven way. People naturally move toward energy that builds, not energy that breaks. So when you walk into a room with a spirit of responsibility, resilience, and optimism, not fake positivity, but grounded confidence, opportunities start showing up that weren't even visible before. See, folks think doors only open because of who they know or what's on their resume. And yeah, connections and qualifications matter. But let me be real with you, nobody wants to work with, invest in, or build something alongside someone who's always negative, blaming, or bitter. People remember how you make them feel, and attitude shapes that experience more than credentials ever will. Even in a job interview or a business pitch, if you come in with a defeated energy, that room will feel it. But if you carry yourself with gratitude, humility, and a willingness to grow, that shifts the entire dynamic. That's how people start saying, "I want to work with this person." That's how mentors show up. That's how partners say yes. Your attitude is like your signature. It announces who you are before you say a word. And when it's consistent, positive, and rooted in integrity, it attracts people and possibilities that align with your elevation. Because at the end of the day, talent gets you in the room, but attitude decides whether you stay there and how high you rise once you're in. The energy you carry becomes the environment you create. Protect it, project it, let it pull your future toward you. Emotional intelligence is the key to growth. Self-awareness, empathy, and emotional regulation are signs of a high attitude altitude. Let me break something down for you that most folks don't get taught in school, but it's one of the biggest game changers in life. Emotional intelligence will take you further than raw talent ever will. Yeah, I said it. You can have all the skills, the degrees, the ambition, but if you don't know how to manage your emotions, read the room, and handle pressure, you're gonna keep crashing into the same walls. Now, when I talk about emotional intelligence, I'm not talking about being soft. I'm talking about being wise. I'm talking about knowing how to pause before you speak, how to listen when your ego wants to react, how to stay steady when everything around you is falling apart. That's strength, that's maturity, and that's what elevates you in relationships, in business, and in life. Self-awareness is the foundation. You've got to know what's going on inside you before you can make sense of what's happening around you. You've got to recognize your triggers, your blind spots, your patterns, and once you do that, now you can regulate yourself, so you don't let a bad 5 minutes ruin your whole day. Then there's empathy. Can you put yourself in someone else's shoes? Can you understand their world without judgment? That's what builds trust. That's what creates influence. People follow people who feel them, not just the ones who talk the loudest. So, you want to go higher. Don't just grow in hustle, grow in wisdom. Grow in how you manage you. Because the ones who rise to the top aren't just the smartest. They're the ones who can lead themselves through pressure without losing their peace. Control your emotions, or your emotions will control your elevation. You teach people how to treat you. The way you carry yourself reflects your self-worth. A confident, respectful attitude invites respect from others. Here's something most people don't realize, but it'll change your life once you do. You teach people how to treat you by the way you carry yourself. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. See, every day you're sending signals through your tone, your posture, your words, even your silence. And the world responds to those signals whether you're aware of them or not. If you walk around acting like you're not worth much, people will start believing you. They'll treat you like you don't matter, not because they decided it, but because you showed them how to. That's why self-worth is not a luxury, it's a necessity. When you carry yourself like someone with purpose, with dignity, with a line you don't let people cross, you create boundaries that protect your peace and define your standard. Now, I'm not saying walk around with your nose in the air. I'm saying walk like you've got value, because you do. And that value isn't based on what you own or what title you hold. It's based on who you are and what you believe about yourself. People pick up on that. They sense it. And over time, they begin to reflect it back to you. You ever wonder why some people seem to command respect wherever they go, even without saying much? That's not luck. That's attitude. That's presence. That's inner work showing up in public form. And the best part, anybody can develop it. You don't need permission. You just need to decide that your worth isn't up for negotiation. Because when you raise your standard, the world has no choice but to rise up or fall away, and either outcome is a win.